the vaccination rollout has been ramped up in the past few weeks, and the state of Rhode Island is no longer being identified as failing, but is now ranked within the top 15 states within this nation. However, where we need to improve and not fail is addressing the need to have a major, comprehensive effort to vaccinate people of color. The progress that is being made does not reflect the disparity that exists for the BIPOC population in receiving vaccinations. The vaccination rate is not trending up for people of color, and the data continues to show significant lag in the vaccination rate that is in the single digits. Our BIPOC population cannot be ignored. When the data highlights the fact people of color has been impacted the most as a result of COVID-19 and is known within states and across the nation. There must be an unprecedented initiative that the BIPOC population is intentionally targeted to receive an equitable portion of vaccines. For us, people of color, receiving the vaccination and the vaccination process is slow, cumbersome, and difficult. And what is becoming more evident, the difficulties of access for the BIPOC population in regards to receiving what is needed. It does not equate to the need in addressing the disparity of the lag in administering our vaccinations. Our BIPOC population vaccination rate is not trending up. This is why we have gathered here as collective voices, as community leaders, being intentional in acknowledging the administration needs to begin to pay closer attention, not just to the overall number of vaccinations, but the lag that persists within the BIPOC population in the state of Rhode Island.
The data shows that people 50 to 64 years of age who are Black and Latino are 3 times more likely to die of COVID-19. People that are 34 to 44 years of age who are Black and Latino are 3 times more likely to be hospitalized for COVID-19. And yet when we look at the allocation of vaccines, what we see are different numbers, or numbers that just don't add up in proportion to the risks that BIPOC communities are facing. We see that 14% of vaccine allocation has gone to high-density community versus 20% of all vaccines that have gone to non-high-density communities. When you dig in further, we see that even if we assume that there should be an equal amount of vaccine given to everyone, the numbers for Hispanics, Blacks, Indigenous, Asian communities is still proportionately lower. But let's be clear, we are not talking about equality here. We are talking about equity. Are we allocating enough vaccines to address the disproportionate risk that BIPOC communities are facing today? And the answer is no.
It is crucial for our community to be vaccinated. You hear the words hesitancy. Every community talks about hesitancy, but there's been national studies that say that the communities that are the least hesitant are communities of color. So that, therefore, the issue is not hesitancy, it's access. We want access, and we're prepared as a community to provide that access in terms of making sure that we get to a mass vaccination site or a church or a community organization. We will be the boots on the ground to make sure that that happens, but we got to make sure that we follow up with the great work of Dan McKee, the governor, who has provided his accessibility to some organizations in terms of the work. So I feel very confident that, with his openness, that we can get this done. There's a statistic that I cannot forget. I saw a statistic that Black folks 45 to 54 are hospitalized 3 times more than the white community 75 to 84. 3 times more. Blacks 40s, 50s hospitalized 3 times more than whites 70s and 80s. So that just shows you that the need is in those communities of color where the problem is the greatest. So we want to make sure that we're heard, that this is an issue that cannot go away if our state is to reopen the way we would all like it to be, and that we're not just here to talk, we're here to work. I mean, we're here to make sure that we get people to those mass vaccination sites, those churches, and anywhere else. So we're here to say that no hesitancy on our part. We want the access, we want the equity. And we feel that with the new Governor McKee being very accessible and being very positive, we can do that.